What is up, my Squirtleites? It is I, your king, welcoming you back to more Let's Play Destiny. In the last episode, we took down Sadia in the Corrupted Strike, and today, we're going to be doing something very, very special. Now, real quick, I want to draw your attention to the fact that I am on my main account at the moment. We're going to be doing quite possibly the hardest content in the entire game outside of raids today, which is why I have decided to retreat to the safety of my main account where I have a lot more weapons, abilities, and build potential at my disposal so that I can make this as quick and simple as possible. What we're going to be doing today is known as a dungeon. Dungeons were first introduced with this one right here, the Shattered Throne, in the Forsaken expansion. We have since gotten a fair few more dungeons, and this activity in particular is meant to act as sort of an accessible go-between for players who don't really have the chance to play in raids. Now, this doesn't say that that's all they are. Dungeons can be enjoyed by any type of player, but they're meant to be easier to access. Raids, you have to have 6 people. There's no exceptions. In maybe the best case scenario, you can get away with like 5, or if you're an absolute god tier player, maybe 4, 3, or 2. But for 99.99% of people, you need 6 people to do these things. Dungeons are a bit different. Now, they're designed around 3-man encounters, but they can technically be done with 2 or even a single person. They're sort of lighter raid-esque mechanics while not going the full distance that raids tend to go with those mechanics. They tend to be a lot more deep than anything you'll see in standard missions or strikes or things along of those nature. Now, most of the dungeons in the game tend to have a singular mechanic that evolves throughout the course of the dungeon, eventually culminating with a final boss. Now, the Shattered Throne itself does have a final boss, but this dungeon kind of stands out as the only dungeon that really has a different mechanic with each and every single encounter. Bungie was still kind of trying to figure out this concept back when they released it. So it's a bit different from the others, but that doesn't mean that it's necessarily difficult or anything. It's just not exactly the same as what you're going to get out of future dungeons. Now, I also want to point out that the Shattered Throne, initially, when Forsaken launched, was only accessible when the curse was at its fullest strength, so only once every 3 weeks. And to go into the Shattered Throne, rather than select it on the map, what you had to do is you had to go into Harbinger's Seclude, and I think there was a couple other places you could go, like through the Devalian Mists and whatnot, but mainly Harbinger's Seclude. You had to kind of go down into the lower level, and down there would be a giant taken corrupted portal that you had to go and access to get into the dungeon itself. Now, since then, they have added dungeons directly onto the map that you can just access from the directory, and the Shattered Throne is no exception to that. Now, it is also available every week, and it is even part of the normal dungeon rotation, so once every few weeks, you will also get the opportunity to get pinnacle gear out of this thing. One other thing that I also want to point out is that the Shattered Throne does not give unique loot, which also separates it from most other dungeons. Back then, the best loot in the game outside of the raid was the Dreaming City gear, and you kind of just got more of it in the Shattered Throne, but at the very least, the Shattered Throne is the place to get weapons with slightly different perks, as they can get different rolls in the Shattered Throne dungeon, and also it is the only place to get high stat rolls for the Reverie Dawn armor set. All right, you got all that? Now, let's jump on in. We're going to be doing this solo today, like I said. So this is going to be a multi-part thing. All these dungeons are going to take multiple episodes to go through, as the dungeons themselves, like I said, they're designed for 3 people, so if you're doing this solo, the mechanics and the activities just take longer. That's just a fact. It's not to say that it's necessarily super hard, but you do have to sort of be on your toes and know exactly what you're doing. Now, this dungeon in particular takes place entirely within the Ascendant Realm, and I do want to give that warning because I have heard reports in the past from certain people that the Ascendant Realm is quite a visual headache. I personally love it. I think it's an excellent location, and I'm a huge fan of its aesthetic and design, but for some people, it can be really hard to look at. So if this whole aesthetic you see here, what you've been seeing in the likes of the Ascendant challenges and whatnot, is not pleasing to you, and or it gives you headaches, or is just sickening to the stomach or any of that stuff, don't watch the rest of this dungeon. It's all this. There's nothing about this dungeon that takes place in the Dreaming City proper. It's all in here, so do keep that in mind. There's a lot of platforming to be done in dungeons like these. Almost all of them have platforming challenges within them, but then they also have the encounters themselves. And this first encounter that we're going to be heading on into is known as the Labyrinth. Now, the Labyrinth, as I get bumped by a rock, is a pretty simple encounter, but it does have a couple of difficult enemies. I'm going to be running with Leman Arc, a shotgun, and a linear fusion rifle for almost the entirety of this dungeon. I've got my Arc Hunter with an exotic known as Star Eater Scales. Now, Star Eater Scales means that whenever I pick up an Orb of Power, it gives me a bigger, a larger amount of super energy, and also what I can do with this exotic is I can actually overcharge it by picking up to 4 more Orbs of Power beyond a full super bar, and it will actually make the super stronger when I cast it on top of giving me an overshield. So all those are going to be things that I'm going to be utilizing as we go through this dungeon. Now, let's explain how the Labyrinth works. So I killed this first enemy here, which was, I forget exactly what they're called. We'll kill more of them as we go. But once you've killed the big health bar enemy, a symbol is going to appear. And in this case, it is a curled up fish. Now, these symbols are completely random in which order they will spawn, but they correspond to a different section of the Labyrinth. So as we head on through here, this is actually the last section right here, where this bird is kind of angled downwards. This will always be the last one you'll have to kill because the end of the encounter is literally right here. So we need to make our way all the way through this labyrinth, finding each of the spots that the symbols correlate to. And I actually know this labyrinth pretty much by heart, so I'll be taking you to each one rather directly. But the whole point here is don't get lost, and also know exactly what symbol correlates to what room and what boss you're going to be fighting with each one. There are a few spots through this labyrinth where you'll get big groups of Thrall that will spawn like this. There are also lots of sniper hobgoblins positioned all over the map that are going to shoot at you from a distance that you also are going to want to deal with. And there are a couple spots where enemies will spawn and just kind of shoot out of the walls as sort of traps to deal with you. Now, this is where we're headed to next. You can see right there, there's the fish symbol. We saw that after we killed the knight. That's what they're called. They're called architects. Sorry. I completely forgot the proper names for them. But yeah, you need to kill each and every single architect as you go. Make sure you deal with the acolytes first, because those acolyte eyes can absolutely mess with you if you're not careful. And this shotgun has trench barrel, which will do me a lot of good, so I'm going to kill it with that. Now, I've got some hobgoblins off in the distance. I'm going to take care of them. Grab this special ammo. And our next one is the singular bird. Now, this one is luckily really close to us. And like I said, it's completely random. It might take you to a spot that's incredibly close. It might take you to the exact opposite side of the labyrinth. You don't actually know until the encounter starts. Sometimes you'll just go in a nice clockwise or counterclockwise direction. Other times, it's not so simple. Okay, so those phalanxes will spawn out of the wall back there. These two are actually supposed to spawn up here, but I think they teleported to the other side because this game has been acting wonky in the Dreaming City for some time now. We've seen that a bunch through the campaign so far, and that's just kind of to be expected at this point with Forsaken content. But let's head up the ramp here. And we get to the top, we're going to get another batch of Thrall spawning in that we're going to have to deal with. Some orange bars, some regular ones. There are another hobgoblin that can actually shoot us from way over there. Make sure you kill that. And we're just going to continue to do damage here as I hit these guys with all sorts of damage. We're going to get a couple chain reactions in there as well just to deal with them. Now, the Labyrinth Architect is actually right in here. It's that hobgoblin that you saw right there. We're going to kill that first. Let's just get rid of these eyes. And also, because this is a major, it is able to spawn its retaliation attack very frequently, so keep that in mind. And we're just going to finish off all of these, and now with the Architect dead, we will see there is another symbol. This one is 2 swirling fishes. Now, this one is not right next to this spot. We have a little bit of walking to do, so let's head down this way. There is another path down opposite that ramp we came up. We're going to head on over here. And as soon as we jump right here, right behind us, a captain is going to spawn. So kill him really quickly. Grab some more heavy. I will happily take that. I do need as much as I can get for my linear fusion here. Now, pay attention to this one. The Temple of the Infinite has a snake-shaped like infinity. The Ouroboros symbol, where a snake is eating its own tail, is used a lot here in the Dreaming City, so do get used to it. But we'll head down here, and there is, in fact, a phalanx down here that we're going to have to deal with. Oh, stop. Gosh, they spawn them so frequently in here. It's honestly ridiculous. You can get combination blow off of the Acolyte Eyes, so keep that in mind. I'm going to do that really quickly, and I don't think that counted as a trench barrel there. Whoop, there we go. Hold on. Let's reload. There we go. And down goes another one. All right, now we're back to the Infinity Snake, so now we can go back up the way we came and do that next. So watch out for the little exploders on the wall. They can absolutely boop you off the cliff. Up here, we're going to have to deal with a Centurion, so let's get him next. Every enemy in this dungeon is taken, by the way. If you're wondering if we're going to be seeing like Scorn in here, it ain't happening. It's all taken all the time. So we'll finish off all these eyes. Okay, I think we're done on everything else. I'm going to get that. I'm actually going to use my linear fusion on this guy. Oh, come on. Charge up, please. Thank you. Almost got him. He's got a little bit of a small hitbox there, so a little difficult to deal with, but there he goes. And this one is the Twisty Snakes. So if I remember correctly, this one is actually back down from where we came. So we're going to go back to where that captain spawned in. And this one, this Labyrinth Architect in particular, is going to be a Minotaur. An invisible Minotaur at that because, well, it is a Taken. So keep that in mind. I'm going to kill these Acolytes as fast as I can so we can get those eyes to go away. Okay, that one went pretty simply. Of course, I don't have my shotgun this time. And there is something I want to point out because there is access to this particular location from where we killed the Vandal Labyrinth Architect as well. They just kind of whittle him down. I think that should kill him with the poison. There we go. So our last one is Dragon Breathing Fire. I will show you where that is, but right up there is where the Vandal was at. If you head down this way, you are going to have a surprise Phalanx drop on top of you, so do keep that in mind. You're going to want to kill him because he very much can boop you that way off the cliff if you're not careful. All right, so this last one, I'm actually going to show where this one is from the start of the labyrinth because I want to show how this entire place sort of wraps around and connects with itself because it is all connected. It is effectively a giant circle. You just need to know where the platforms are. But we'll head back in here. And remember, this is where I said the final room is with the bird symbol. If we go left this time, there's going to be another set of Thrall that spawn in. This is the only other spot they can spawn in, I believe, of the 3 we've seen. So once again, let's just deal with all these guys. Combination blow, chain lightning does quite a bit of damage. Helps us kill all these guys pretty efficiently. We're going to get combination blow times 3 going here. There we go. And then once we head up the hill, there are some hobgoblins that can spawn up on top there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to head on in here. I'm going to start chaining these together. And I've got one more Acolyte over here. Let's kill him next. Thank you. All right, now that everything's at times 3, let's kill this captain. Now, this is the only enemy, the only taken enemy that gets a repeat. There are actually 2 captains in this labyrinth, but one of them has a gun. The other one has just melee weapons, and there it is. There's the bird we were looking for. Now, really quickly, I want to show the hobgoblin spawns really quickly. So once you try to jump across this bridge, you notice this leads to where the Centurion was at, the Temple of the Infinite. You will start to get hobgoblins that will spawn in. So if you ever come across this bridge, be prepared for those. They will absolutely shoot at you and do a lot of damage if you're not careful. I'm going to kill that last one down this way. But yeah, they absolutely can mess you up good if you're not careful. I think I'm going to go around here, grab some of this glimmer as I go down. Let's see. There's another one. Is that the same? That might be the same one, I think. Yeah, I think it was. All right. So, back to the start we go, and this is where the last captain is, and I have saved my super specifically for this guy. So let's hit him with it, and once that whittles him down, he will be dead. So that should do the trick, and there we go. All right. So, now we head down, and once we get to the bottom, I'm going to call this an episode. Guys, thank you all so much for watching this episode of Let's Play Destiny. I hope you all enjoyed it very much. Next time, we're going to be taking on 2 encounters, and I say encounters with massive air quotes because these don't really involve too much mechanics, but more so just platforming, if that makes sense. I think you'll understand as we get into each of them, but do keep in mind that these are a little bit long-winded, which is why I'm going to make them their own video, and then the last two major encounters will be a part of the final video, the third video of this whole ordeal. So, guys, with that said, I will see you all in the next one.